Over the last weekend, obviously, throughout the country, we've had politicians coming out making promises. We've had, particularly in Ward 43 in Mitchell's Plain. Now, that is just to understand the context. Ward 43 starts at the Strandfontein Pavilion and goes all the way down to Lansdowne Road. It is a large block of land. Just take a look at the little map that I've got next to this, okay? So that you can get the context of this. It is the largest single ward of the whole of Mitchell's Plain, both geographically and what it contributes financially. There's also the most potential for deep tourism investment, and there's such a wide range of living standards in there. We've got shack dwellers, we've got people who are constantly burning tires on one side of the road, we've got people who are fishermen, commercial fishermen, and otherwise we've got such a wide range of economic issues that have to be dealt with. And out of this whole area, dealing with farmland, dealing with such a wide range of things, we're choosing a councillor to look after that entire space. There is so much political upheaval that what you're hoping to find is somebody who's going to be able to walk a fine line, finding a way to bring the DA, Good, EFF, CCC, and almost every other kind of independent and other group of people together under one umbrella for 5 years. It's a task which is daunting. It needs an individual as well as an organization, a political party, and the communities together to understand one common purpose. And the challenge is that mostly we're trying to draw a councillor out of one of the areas. We do not even have fixed agreement that people would accept that the different suburbs linked to Ward 43 are not part of a separate entity. So they seem to think that this is Strandfontein and San Remo and Bayview and all these other areas belong to Strandfontein, and that is accidental or that it is a problem that they haven't had to face it, that there's actually agriculture land next to them or anything else. So firstly, it's important to note that we've got over 35 candidates for Ward 43. And then over the weekend, they were invited to come in and talk to the community about what their vision is, how they're planning to handle this. And of that, 7 people pitched up. One apology, the ANC candidate wasn't well, but they sent the PR candidate instead. And so they published this on YouTube. I'll give you the link to the full set of conversations afterwards. But what I've done is I've taken the full YouTube thing and sliced it up, so you don't have to sit and try and struggle through all of that. In my opinion, I think Councillor Alton Jansen is the best candidate for that space, because firstly he demonstrated a clear understanding of the entire environment. He's got the experience, and what we hope to do over the next 5 years, he's coming into it with a plan, as opposed to coming in trying to grandstand and saying, I'm an actor, I'm a person who's been in this area, I've grown up here, I can touch your heart, I'll be here until 9 o'clock at night. He's come out, he's been methodical, he's applied his mind well. The other person as well who's come out clearly as being experienced, at least in the Strandfontein, Bayview, San Remo block, has been Mario Oosterberg. Everybody else has really been spectators. Riyad Isaacs, on the hand, as an independent, I think he's got a lot of value that he wants to bring on, but again his focus also is around the agricultural land, hasn't got the experience. I don't think any of them have got a support structure behind them to understand the size of the problem, except for Alton. I think that what we have to look at is over the next 2 years, whoever is taking up that position needs to ensure that we as a community, in our ward committees and in the other areas, we need to make sure that we have a clear succession plan. Because Lord forbid, if we had to lose an experienced councillor right now, the next person who's going to come in is going to have a lot of difficulty. So I'm hoping that we would see some kind of match up across party lines, across people and their egos and their pride, to be able to make sure that we've actually got a So let's take a look at Ward 43. Firstly, Ward 43 on its own, that's a 46 square kilometer space, and it's not as dense as some of the other parts of Mitchell's Plain, which sits at a far higher people per square kilometer ratio. There we've got about 822 people per square kilometer according to the 2011 census. Out of that space, we're hoping that we have some kind of political experience that says we've got some exposure to the full Ward 43. But what we do find is that the ANC, the EFF, the CCC has got solid experience in some of the troubled areas like Sequala, which is part of it, or some of the lower income. We've got some of the guys who understand a bit of the farmers' requirements, and we've got some people who relate to the faith-based groups better. But out of the group, when you take a look at who are the political parties and what are they standing for and who the people are, you find that we do not have in Ward 43 any other strong candidates. If I was to look at the two candidates that I feel have got value that I could work with from a Plain Chamber point of view, it would be Alton Jansen and Mario. Mario Oosthuizen, those are the only two that stand out as it stands. And that is a problem as it stands. And the problem is, when we ask them of their understanding, none of them could give me any of the metrics that actually talks to this. In fact, the information which you see on the screen right now, that information is over 10 years old, and the current information is that the Philippi horticultural area on its own contributes pretty close to 900 million to R1 billion per annum to GDP, and the sense of what the Philippi horticultural area brings in is that sense doesn't come through. And as you can see on the graph here right now, if we just take a look at the vegetable growing significance of that area, it is significant at about 800,000 rand per hectare per annum, and that supports the formal and informal sectors. It supports the underprivileged and the fully privileged. And so what I did not pick up from the other candidates was an understanding of the significance of Philippi, while everybody wanted to say that they understood the value of the Strandfontein Pavilion. So do yourself a favor. There are two sections that I think are important. The first one is, what are the responses to the understanding of the whole of Ward 43, a question which I posed from the Chamber point of view, and listen to the individuals' introductions themselves. And then if you are in Ward 43 and you need to make a decision, I can't see you making a decision for somebody who didn't even have the time to be there. And if you're from Strandfontein and you're hoping to be able to choose somebody where your children's job opportunities are guaranteed, then listen to what these candidates are talking about, and then pay attention to. This is one of the biggest elections that you have to think about carefully, because as we approach April 2026, when Mitchells Plain turns 50 years old, We want to know that we're sitting in a different Mitchell's plane then than we are today. So those are my thoughts. I'm posting the videos as they are, as separated, and a link in my conversation at the bottom to the actual source.